Hey, yo, hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing another DC superhero review, and that will be of Steel. Take a look at this bad boy right here. Now, a little information about Steel. Steel's real name is John Henry Irons, and he first shows up during the Return/Reign of Superman story arc. I never really know what to call it. People call it the Reign of Superman, but the trade in the comics says it's the Return of Superman. Whatever. And we find out the backstory of John Henry Irons' backstory, in that he is a very intelligent individual, very smart, creates various technologies and weaponry. However, he got upset how his creations were being used by the company he worked at, so he upped and left for a simpler, easier life, which he wasn't responsible for the heinous creations that were coming from his designs and technology. Eventually, his life was saved by Superman, and he felt forever in his death. And eventually, the death of Superman happened. Doomsday and Superman battle, and throughout the whole entire chaos, Steel is caught underneath a bunch of rubble, and he stays there until after Superman dies. After Superman dies, he finds out about this, and in honoring Superman, he makes his Steel suit. Now, it's interesting to note that, unlike the other, lack of better terms, Superman imposters such as Superboy, Eradicator, and Cyborg Superman, Steel in no way, shape, or form claims to be Superman in the comics. No, he tells Lois Lane up front that he is honoring Superman. Superman impacted Steel's life, so in doing so, he created this armor. He wears the shield, the emblem of Superman, to honor him, to pick up his duty and to do what's right. So, whereas the other Supermen, Cyborg Superman, Superboy, and Eradicator, all in some way claim to be Superman, Steel doesn't. And Steel tries to do what's right, and he does for the most part. And then the real Superman returns, and Cyborg Superman goes and helps him deal, Steel helps the real Superman deal with Cyborg Superman in the climactic final battle. After the Return of Superman, Steel kind of has a supporting character role for the Superman comics. He eventually becomes a member of the Justice League for a short time, and stays on the reserve roster. He feels as though the Justice League isn't necessarily where he belongs, but he stays on the reserve roster in case they need him. And then, from this point, he becomes an off-again, on-again superhero. He kind of retires for a while, but he comes back for the big battles and when he's needed the most by Superman. Actually, he works with the Special Police Force in Metropolis, creating new weapons and defensive capabilities for meta-human activities. So, Steel is, again, off-again, on-again superhero, but he does other things in the meantime, too. His niece, Natasha, also picked up the title of Steel. However, there's a bit of conflict between them in 52, which I'm not really going to go over. But Steel did play a big role in 52. He was probably the biggest person up against Luthor at the time, because Luthor was creating his Everyman program where every man could be a superhero, and Steel was very much against this. So Steel's kind of, like I said, an off-again, on-again superhero. Powers and ability-wise, Steel has no powers and abilities normally. However, he does have his suit. With this suit, it increases his strength and gives him some protection against various attacks. He can clearly survive bullets and high-impact weaponry. However, he's not invulnerable like Superman or Supergirl is. In addition to that, he has his hammer, his very, very notable hammer, which, if you actually look into it, Steel's name, John Henry Irons, is based off an African-American hero, John Henry, I believe, and he was known for having a hammer. So, the hammer is very important to Steel's character. So the hammer is his main weapon, and it does various things other than just pummeling people over the head. Steel also has the capability of flight, and when he first showed up, he had a rivet gun on his wrist. Throughout the years, he has improved his armor and changed the technology around, so he can do a various amount of things. So Steel is, I like to think of him as the Iron Man of the DC Universe. Obviously, doesn't have the amount of technology Iron Man does, but he does remind me of him, at least powers and ability-wise, with the suit. not with the alcohol or anything else, or the womanizing, whatever. Anyways, with that said, Steel is a great character. I really like him. He's probably one of my favorite supporting characters for Superman, under Lois Lane and the Kents, but I think Steel is a really cool superhero, and I think he really should get more, he should really be used more than he actually is. So with that said, let's get into the figure itself. Let's start things off with accessories. Like I said, Steel comes with his hammer right here. It's quite long with the handle, and the handle starts off pretty thin and gets thicker throughout the whole entire hammer design. It has some detailing on the handle itself and some bolt detailing on the actual heavy hammer part. The mallet, maybe? What is it called? I don't know. So this is actually a nice accessory. It's very nicely detailed. It's bent a little, but nothing big. Let's get on to the figure itself. Now, Steel is a very, very detailed figure. You may notice that some of the body parts are reused from former Superman figures by Mattel during the DC superhero line. But he has so much nooks and crannies on him, so much extra detailing that you really don't notice it. His head is very well detailed. And you notice with his head, his arms, part of his chest and his legs are given a darker metallic-like look. So the face is very nicely detailed. He has additional armor on his shoulders, on his belt, on his hands, on his wrists, on his legs. He has these tubes connecting to his belt, which I assume are used for his jet capability to fly. And obviously he has his Superman emblem on his chest. Now, an interesting thing to note is, I've heard, and this could be wrong, if I am wrong, please correct me, I've heard there's two versions of Steel. There's the regular version, which is just a plain metallic paint app, and then one that has an actual metallic-like glow to it on the S. This is the one with the metallic-like glow, metallic-like paint on it. Now, whether or not this is true, I don't know. I've just heard that on message boards. I've only seen the one with the metallic S, so who knows. In addition to that, he has a beautifully done cape, and the cape, it has multiple black shadow and paint apps on it to really make it stand out. One of the best capes in the whole entire line. And it has a very thick, heavy-like look to it, which Steel really has with his character design. Articulation-wise, he has all the standard articulation for a DC superhero and DC Universe classic figure. However, he is limited in a few areas due to certain reasons. Now, the shoulder pads right here are of a flexible plastic. However, they still damper his arm movements quite a bit. In addition to that, my arm is really tight, and I do not want to force it because, well, I'm a pussy and I don't want it to break. But they bend enough so that you can get the arms about that far, but they're still dampered a bit by that shoulder pad. Now, they tried the best they can, so I guess I can't really hold it against them too much, but it would have been nice if they had on a little bolt where you can, a plastic bolt where you can move the shoulder pads up, but whatever. And then parts of his belt, you gotta see it, parts of his belt damper his leg from going out overly that far. But not too much. His leg can only is supposed to swivel at the quadriceps a bit more, but because of the tubing right here, it doesn't go all the way around. Unless you want to cut that off, but I wouldn't recommend it. Steel's hammer fits nicely into his hands. The one problem is it's so heavy that it forces the hands and the arms to kind of move inward. The best thing to do is kind of put it in both hands. That's what I do. I think that's probably the safest thing to do. And you just slide it in there. And it slides in pretty good. Let me just adjust. So take a look at him there. He's a very nicely detailed figure. Very beautiful. And I dare say, I think the best out of the Superman version of the DC superhero line. Because there's the Superman and the Batman figures. Out of Superman figures and the ones that I have thus far, Steel is definitely one of, if not the best. He is just a very nicely detailed figure. I think the only figure that could probably compare to him, or at least be better than him, would be the Cyborg Superman, but I don't have that figure, so I can't honestly say, but, oh, very beautiful figure. Now, with the figures that came from, I believe, the Series 3 sculpt, that's where he's from, I'm not sure. He comes with his diorama. With the Superman figures, they usually have the steel chains breaking or Krypton blowing up, like Darkseid, which I reviewed a while back, had Krypton blowing up. It seems like with every figure it has the same of 1 or 2 dioramas, where the Batman figures kind of have different dioramas for each one. Now, I'm a little torn on the dioramas. They're very nice overall, but they're very big and they're very space-consuming, so they're really not necessary. Plus, we only get 2 dioramas designs for the Superman figures. Not really that impressive. So, anyway, should you pick it up? I would definitely recommend it. Steel is a great-looking figure. He's a cool character, very underused character, but still a very cool character. One of my favorite Superman supporting characters. He has such a great look to him, very nicely detailed. They use great colors into this, and you think they would be like all one steel metallic color, but no, they use different shades of gray and metallic-like color schemes to really make the figure stand out. And the figure has so many nooks and crannies on him that he's just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can get them at a store. I got mine in box for $12 at my comic book store. You can probably get them online from $12 to $20, maybe a little bit more. I wouldn't pay over $20 for them. I wouldn't pay over like $25 for them. So you can get them online for pretty cheap. I recommend picking it up. He's a good figure, probably one of the best from the Superman version of the line. And he just has so much detail to him. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, with that said, I definitely recommend Steel. Cool character, cool figure, worth picking up. With that said, I'm going to end this review here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.